Emily had finished another long day at the veterinary clinic. The clock read almost 10 o'clock in the evening when she walked out onto the dark, almost deserted street. The cold autumn wind reminded her that she needed to get home as soon as possible, but the silence of the evening was suddenly interrupted. A distant whimper made her stop. Emily listened. The sounds were coming from somewhere in the alley, where she usually didn't look. She hesitantly moved toward it, realizing it might be an animal in need of help. Her cell phone flashlight illuminated the wet pavement and old house walls. Suddenly, she saw him. In the corner, under the protection of an old garbage container, was a golden retriever. His fur was wet, he was shivering from the cold, and his big brown eyes were full of fear. The dog looked well-groomed. Shiny coat, collar, though without a tag. He was clearly not a stray, but he was definitely lost. Emily crouched down next to the dog, trying not to scare it. She stretched out her hand and spoke softly. "Hello, friend. It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." The dog cautiously raised its head and moved closer, trusting her. Emily stroked him, feeling him stop shaking. Her heart was breaking to think that someone could have lost such a wonderful friend. Unable to find any papers or a dog tag with an address, Emily decided to take the dog home. She knew that the chance of finding the owner at night was minimal. She wrapped her jacket around him and picked him up. The dog did not resist, as if he felt that this girl meant well. On the way home, Emily thought about what to do next. She decided to check if anyone had contacted the clinic to report the missing dog and to post information on social media the next day. But for now, her only task was to feed, warm, and calm her new furry friend. Little did Emily know that night that this incident would change her life forever. The next morning, Emily woke up to a warm touch. The golden retriever was curled up at her feet, sniffling softly. He looked much calmer than the night before. Emily stood up carefully so as not to disturb him and started the day with a plan: to find the owner. She called the clinic where she worked to find out if anyone had filed a missing dog report. Her colleagues assured her that no one had. So Emily started taking pictures of the dog to post an ad on social media. She took several pictures of the dog, showing its collar and features. The ad quickly gained popularity. People shared information in the comments, but no one knew whose dog it was. Someone wrote that they had seen a similar dog a few days ago near a hotel in the city center. Emily decided that this might be a clue and headed there, hoping to find a trace of the owner. After several hours of asking locals and hotel staff, she got no concrete answers. The dog was clearly well-groomed, but mysterious. Whoever its owner was, this person must have been very distressed by the loss. In the evening, when Emily returned home, she sat down tiredly on the couch. The retriever raised his head and looked at her with his big brown eyes. He seemed to realize that she was doing her best to find his owner. She smiled and petted him, promising herself not to give up. Meanwhile, an intrigue began to unfold on social media. People noticed that this dog looked very similar to Brad Pitt's pet, who had recently been seen in the city. Someone joked, someone questioned it, but the information spread quickly. Emily didn't pay any attention to it, thinking it was a fantasy. She just wanted to help the dog, not even realizing how soon her life would change because of this incident. On the third day after Emily found her golden retriever, her lost and found post went viral. Hundreds of comments and shares flooded her social media, but one particular detail began to attract attention. Some users claimed that the dog looked a lot like Charlie, the pet of Hollywood star Brad Pitt. Emily was skeptical at first. She knew that celebrities often appear in such stories, even when it's not true. But something in the comments made her think. She decided to check the information more closely and started searching the internet for a photo of Brad Pitt with his dog. When she came across a picture of Brad on the beach with a golden retriever that had the same collar as her temporary guest, Emily froze. It was the same dog. Her heart was pounding. She was really looking after a celebrity's dog. Trying not to panic, she looked at the comments on her post again. Someone wrote that Brad Pitt was currently in town filming, and perhaps that was why the dog had gotten lost. Another comment contained a link to the official account of the actor's representative. After a few minutes of thinking, Emily made up her mind. She wrote a message with all the details about the dog she had found. She wasn't sure she would get a response, but she decided to try. Less than an hour later, she received a call. The voice on the other end introduced himself as Brad Pitt's assistant. He confirmed that Charlie had indeed gone missing a few days ago and described all the features that matched Emily's dog. The assistant thanked her for her concern and said that the actor himself wanted to personally pick up his pet. When Emily hung up the phone, she felt a wave of adrenaline wash over her. She couldn't believe she was about to meet one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. The dog, as if sensing that he would soon see his master, got up from his seat and wagged his tail. The evening was full of anticipation. Emily even started to worry about how everything would go. She did not realize that this meeting would not only bring the dog back, but would also open the door to new opportunities. The next day, a black SUV pulled up to Emily's house. She stood on the porch with Charlie, who was wagging his tail and shifting nervously from paw to paw. Emily tried to keep her composure, but her heart was pounding with excitement. A tall man with dark glasses and a baseball cap got out of the car, wearing a simple jacket. It was Brad Pitt. Emily recognized him immediately, although he looked modest and tried not to attract attention. Brad approached him with a warm smile, and before he could say anything, Charlie rushed over to him. The dog barked merrily and licked his owner's hands as if to tell him how much he missed him. Brad hugged the dog, his face shining with sincere joy. He looked up at Emily and thanked her. "You have no idea what this means to me," he said. His voice was calm but emotional. Emily just nodded, feeling overwhelmed with mixed feelings. She wanted to say that she was just doing what she thought was right, but her words were lost under the weight of the moment. Brad explained that Charlie had been with him for many years and had always been there for him in difficult moments. The disappearance of the dog was a real blow to him, especially during the intense filming, when he was already on the verge of exhaustion. He expressed his sincere gratitude that Emily did not leave the dog to fend for itself. After the dog calmed down, Brad approached Emily with an offer of a reward, but she just smiled and replied that she didn't do it for the money. Her sincere answer impressed the actor. "Then I want to do something meaningful for you," he said, looking at her thoughtfully. "Tell me, what are your dreams?" Emily was embarrassed, but sensing that Brad was serious, she told him about her long-held dream of opening a clinic for stray animals. She had always wanted to help animals in need, but lacked the resources to realize this project. Brad listened attentively and, after a moment of thought, said, "Now you will have that opportunity." Emily couldn't believe her ears. He explained that he was ready to support her dream and finance the creation of the clinic. She was overwhelmed by his generosity, but at the same time felt deeply grateful. As the SUV drove away and Charlie looked out the window, Emily stood there, trying to process everything that had just happened. Her life had taken an unexpected turn, made possible by a simple but important act. 3 months after Emily met Brad Pitt, her life has changed. Thanks to his support, she was able to open a small but cozy veterinary clinic for homeless animals, which she named Charlie's Haven. The name was her way of honoring the dog, who changed everything. The clinic quickly became a household name in the community. People brought animals in need of help and donated to support the initiative. Emily worked almost 7 days a week, but it brought her joy. Every rescued dog or cat that found a home was proof to her that she had made the right choice. One day, when Emily was checking the paperwork in her office, a courier came to the clinic with a package. Inside was a letter and a photo of Charlie, happy and contented, next to Brad. In the letter, the actor thanked her for her kindness and wrote that he continued to support her initiative. It was an unexpected but warm reminder of how it all started. The clinic became not just a place to help animals, but also a symbol of how one simple act of kindness can change lives. Local residents organized charity events, and Emily's story inspired many. She was no longer just a veterinarian. She became an example for the community. One evening, as she was closing the clinic, Emily looked at the sign above the entrance. Asterisk Charlie's Haven, a place where kindness finds a way. She thought back to the rainy night she first met Charlie and smiled. Her life had changed forever, and now she knew that even the smallest gesture could make a huge difference.